A patient receiving treatment for Ebola at Emory University Hospital in Atlanta is out of the hospital tonight. The hospital confirms the patient has been in its care for more than a month but does not want to be identified. And in Omaha, Nebraska, hospital officials say an Ebola patient there could be released by the end of this week. Meanwhile, worry about the deadly virus seems to be increasing. Senior political reporter Scott Schumann is live in the Satellite Center. Scott, what about that?
Well, Maureen, in fact, we do know that right now there are conversations between Congress and the White House about putting forward more funding in this global effort. Also, the Pentagon telling us today more U.S. troops, these from the 101st Airborne, are headed to Liberia in hopes of containing the disease.
What you're seeing is the constant Twitter feed of Ebola mentions, a dizzying display of just how dominant the subject has become. But should it? The head of infectious diseases at a WTOP town hall today.
In the United States, 2 people have gotten infected with Ebola. 2.
And many of those people being monitored in Texas for possible contamination are now past the 21-day incubation period. No signs of the disease.
It's somewhat of a happy press conference for us.
Though while there is relief in that news, it hardly means crisis averted.
Do you think it's going to get worse here in the United States?
I think it is very likely we will see additional cases of Ebola in the United States.
I spoke today with Dr. Richard Besser, chief health editor for ABC News and former acting CDC director.
All right, let's talk about perspective here. Compare what we're seeing with Ebola to the flu.
Well, I hope that people hear this and decide they want to get a flu shot, because the early symptoms of Ebola look the same as the early symptoms of the flu.
Meanwhile, the Pentagon is assembling a team of 30 specialists to handle U.S. cases.
That training will take about a week or so, and then when they complete that training, they'll be on what we call prepare to deploy orders.
And the White House has changed course, now naming an Ebola czar. And around the country, ambulance crews learning how to properly gear up with no room for error like those made in Dallas.
And that is why the new guidelines being issued will be much tougher, mandating full body suits, a buddy system, and a site manager to make sure that all protocol is followed. Maureen.
Thank you, Scott. As concern appears to be growing about the spread of Ebola here in the U.S., local leaders are trying to bring some calm. Dallas nurse Nina Pham is now being treated at the National Institutes of Health in Bethesda. And today, Montgomery County Council President Craig Rice addressed anxious residents' safety concerns. Rice said NIH is one of 4 hospitals in the country with biocontainment units. Pham was transferred to NIH last Thursday, and she is said to be in fair condition.